World War II was a turning point in history that led to the formation of the modern world. But what if this global catastrophe had never taken place? Join us as we explore some of the most significant ways our world would be different if World War II had not happened. The threat of Great Depression. In the aftermath of World War I, the world economy was in sharp decline. By 1929, the U.S. stock market had plummeted by 85% and unemployment rates were soaring. This economic downturn, known as the Great Depression, affected countries worldwide. However, the impact of the war had been devastating, leaving many European nations in ruins and with economies that were completely crippled. To prevent another catastrophic conflict, the victorious Allied powers imposed harsh reparations on Germany, demanding compensation for the damages they had sustained during the war. The economic burden placed on Germany was so severe that it threatened to push the country over the edge into total economic collapse. In response, German leaders began to explore alternative solutions to appease their people and save their economy. They considered invading neutral countries such as Belgium, Denmark, or Norway to acquire much-needed resources and restore the nation's economic stability. Additionally, they explored the option of annexing Austria, which was predominantly German-speaking and had close cultural ties to Germany. Annexing Austria would not only help to boost the German economy, but would also serve as a strategic buffer zone between Germany and potential enemies in the east. But this move would also likely provoke the already wary French, who would see it as a threat to their own territorial integrity and national security. So German leaders had a difficult decision to make: risk further conflict with the Allies by invading a neutral country, or watch their economy crumble and their people suffer. Ultimately, they decided to take a gamble and invaded Poland. This event marked the beginning of World War II, a conflict that would have a profound impact on the world. If this chain of events had never taken place, then perhaps the world would have found a way to avoid another catastrophic war: the rise of Nazi Germany. Following World War I, Germany was left in ruins, both physically and economically. The Treaty of Versailles, which officially ended the war, placed heavy burdens on Germany, including territorial losses, disarmament, and hefty reparations payments for the damage they had caused. These harsh conditions created a breeding ground for resentment and instability within Germany, which the Nazi Party capitalized on. Hitler, the charismatic leader of the Nazis, promised to restore German pride and prosperity by reversing the perceived injustices of the Treaty of Versailles. He pledged to rearm Germany, reclaim lost territories, and establish German dominance in Europe. As the Great Depression gripped Europe, Hitler's message of economic recovery through expansionism resonated with many Germans who were desperate for a solution to their economic woes. By promising to restore Germany to its former glory, Hitler gained widespread support and ultimately seized power in 1933. From there, he began to implement his radical agenda, which included the annexation of Austria and the Czech region of Sudetenland, as well as the invasion of Poland, which ultimately triggered the start of World War II. If Germany had not descended into economic chaos after World War I, it's possible that Hitler and the Nazis would never have risen to power. Without the catalyst of economic hardship, the political landscape of Europe would have been vastly different, and the course of history would have been altered. The Cold War rivalry. After World War II, the relationship between the United States and the Soviet Union took a drastic turn from wartime allies to Cold War rivals. This shift was largely due to the ideological differences between the two superpowers, as well as the expansionist policies of the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe. Following the end of World War II, the Soviet Union had expanded its influence over Eastern European countries, establishing communist regimes in Poland, East Germany, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. This move was seen as a threat by the United States, which feared the spread of communism to Western Europe and beyond. In response, the U.S. implemented a policy of containment which aimed to stop the expansion of Soviet influence. This policy led to a series of conflicts around the world, such as the Korean War and the Vietnam War, as well as a massive arms race between the two superpowers. Additionally, the formation of NATO and the Warsaw Pact further solidified the division of Europe into two opposing camps. The Soviet Union had not expanded its influence into Eastern Europe. The United States may not have felt compelled to contain Soviet expansionism. As a result, the world may have been spared the costly and divisive conflicts of the Cold War, the space race and arms race. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a fierce competition known as the space race. This competition began in the late 1950s when the Soviet Union launched the first satellite into orbit, Sputnik 1. This event shocked the American public and government officials who had not anticipated the Soviet Union as technological advancement. As a result, the United States increased funding for its aerospace industry and research programs in an effort to catch up with the Soviets. This competition led to significant advancements in rocket technology and ultimately culminated in the Apollo 11 mission, which successfully landed astronauts on the moon in 1969. While the space race had many positive outcomes, such as the development of new technologies and the expansion of human knowledge about the universe, it also had its negative aspects. For example, the competition between the two superpowers contributed to an escalation in the arms race, as each side sought to gain a military advantage through advances in rocketry and nuclear weapons. Additionally, the secrecy surrounding these advancements led to a climate of fear and suspicion, which further fueled the Cold War rivalry. If World War II had never happened, it's possible that the space race and subsequent arms race may have never occurred. The formation of the United Nations. The horrors of World War II led to the creation of the United Nations, an international organization whose stated purpose is to maintain international peace and security. Prior to World War II, there had been several attempts to create an international governing body to prevent future conflicts. However, these efforts had ultimately failed. The devastation and loss of life caused by World War II made it clear that a new approach was needed. The United Nations was founded in 1945 by the victorious Allied powers with the aim of creating a forum for nations to resolve their differences peacefully and collectively address global challenges. The organization's charter, which outlines its goals and principles, was signed by 51 nations, including the United States, the Soviet Union, China, and the United Kingdom. The United Nations has played a significant role in shaping the world order since its creation. It has helped to prevent large-scale conflicts between nations, provided humanitarian aid in times of crisis, and facilitated cooperation on issues such as climate change and human rights. However, the organization has also faced numerous challenges, including criticism for its bureaucracy, its inefficiency, and inability to prevent conflicts such as the Korean War and the Rwandan genocide. Despite these challenges, the United Nations remains an important forum for international cooperation and diplomacy. If World War II had never happened, it's possible that the world may not have been ready for such an organization, and the need for international cooperation may not have been so apparent. Conclusion: World War II was a pivotal moment in history that had a profound impact on the world we live in today. From the formation of the United Nations to the start of the Cold War and the rise of Nazi Germany, the ripple effects of this conflict are still felt in our world today. It's a reminder of the importance of diplomacy, cooperation, and understanding in preventing future conflicts and building a better world for future generations. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about the impact of World War II on our world today. Please leave a comment below to share your thoughts and join the conversation. And don't forget to subscribe for more educational videos like this one. Thanks for watching.